Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
Thank you for joining us for Black Entrepreneur Experience. This is where we shine the light on the most successful Black entrepreneurs in the world. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, and today I am so honored to have with us Jess Puccinelli, and she's founder and owner of Haute.com, and she started the company in 2013, and it's a company that delivers boxes of thoughtful gifts featuring stylish products that gives back to good causes. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You know what? I've given our audience a very brief snippet of your bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you would like them to know about your company and yourself?
Well, I'm sure you did a great job of summing it up, but quickly, Haute was founded in late 2013 around the idea that there should be a place with gift boxes featuring products that give back to a good cause or positively impact the world. My entire goal was to make it easy for people to give good, and I've been on a mission to make that happen ever since.
So when you talk about giving back to a good cause, is it one specific cause, or do you have several causes that you give back to?
This is one of my most favorite questions to answer. We have many causes that we give back to, and that is probably the part of the business I'm most excited about and most passionate about, is that we get to touch so many different types of give backs, if you will. We do everything from work with companies that support women in marginalized countries and help to create dignified work for them, to supporting organizations in downtown Los Angeles that are providing jobs for the homeless, or even maybe just providing blankets for the homeless. So we really get to run the gamut. Some of our companies are even sustainably produced. They're made in small batches. It's supporting a small business. There are so many different ways to give back. And I get really excited that our gift boxes get to run the gamut. They get to reach all types of different social initiatives.
So talk to our audience, Jess. If one of our audience received one of your boxes, tell us what would be in it and take us to how they would decide what the cause is going to be for that specific box.
Sure. So each of the box, again, will feature many different causes. You'd receive the gift box, and on the front would be a nice little postcard that has an entire menu of what's included in your gift box, and also at least a one-liner beneath it to let you know what the impact of every product is. So we have some gift boxes, for example, that have tea, a mug, honey in it. Below that, it will let you know that that particular tea gives 1% of its proceeds back to wildlife and also women's initiatives. The honey is supporting a Save the Bees Foundation. So it's giving back to sustainability, to the environment. We would even call that animal support as well. And then you've also got the mug. In this particular mug company we use, they give 10% of their proceeds to a company called Charity Water, which is building wells in countries, specifically, I believe, in Africa.
So Jess, what was that aha moment that you knew that this was going to be a successful business?
Sure. This is one of my favorite stories. In 2013, I was looking for a gift to get another friend, and they say that the best ideas are born out of necessity. And I had no idea what to get this friend, but I knew I wanted it to be thoughtful. And while I was talking with another girlfriend about what to get her, she suggested this company called The Giving Keys. And The Giving Keys is a company that takes reused keys, they upcycle them, impress a word on them, and that word is something positive like hope or courage or faith, and they then string it onto a necklace. And the necklaces were really cool. They were really well designed, and it was the first time I'd seen a product that gave back, but that also was design driven. It was something I would wear and something I wanted to use, and also initiatives that I wanted to support. So I use this company as an example, and as I think this was a company that was pivotal for me because they were employing people transitioning out of homelessness. They were reusing different supplies. So, you're thinking about this reused key. And then also they had this pay it forward mentality. So when you embody the word on this key, you give it to somebody who needs that word more than you do. So I just loved the full, complete 360 giving effect that this company had. And I said to my friend, whoa, this is amazing. I wish there was a place where I could go. And somebody had curated all of these different well-designed products that give back. But they weren't just on a website. They were boxed up, and I could pick a gift box filled with products that give back and give it to a friend. Send it to my mom for Mother's Day, send it to my aunt for her birthday, or send it to another friend, like when they're dealing with some hard life stuff. And this friend looked at me and she said, well, when are you going to start? And I was like, what do you mean? When am I going to start? I'm sure this exists. And I did, a few minutes of Googling, and it didn't exist. And I was like, how can this not exist? And then immediately I had the name, the concept, the vision for it. And I just got to work. I got to work in all of my spare time building out this concept and this idea. And I truly had no idea what I was doing. So it's amazing to me that, almost 4 years later, we're still in it, and we're still, kind of at the forefront of what we're doing.
So are you operating full time in your business?
I am operating, I'd say 75% full time. I still take on freelance clients. I was in marketing before this and PR. And so I've got a couple, actually exactly 2 clients that I still work with, but it's pretty minimal. And the rest of my focus is on building this business and bringing this dream to life.
That's beautiful. So tell us, Jess, how do you define success?
Sure. We were interviewed by CNN earlier this year, and I don't think I'd slowed down long enough to think about our success. But in the process of having this interview, I did some prep work, and I was looking back at our numbers, and we had tripled our growth from our first year. But when I sat down with the reporter and really thought about how I define success, it is knowing that everything I do and everything we do as a business is really detailed in how we impact the world. So down to making sure we work with a sustainable printer and we are printing our postcards on recycled paper using ink that doesn't harm the environment, to going and visiting these different places, vetting the products, meeting these vendors at the ends of their earth. We've got these women companies that are working with women in the far ends of Guatemala, for example, and going and meeting them and truly knowing that every time we support these different companies, we positively impact the world. That for me is success every time. Not compromising on the bar of social good, of positive impact, that's success. Then on the flip side, it's seeing the people who receive these gift boxes. So we've had our gift boxes sent to cancer patients who have received it right on their way to chemotherapy. And I get the letters, I get the emails, and, people will say, this changed my life, or this gave me hope. And I can't believe that even in the midst of my sorrow or my achievements, I've been able to help somebody else by just achieving. So that, I think, just seeing the entire concept really lived out, really doing good from start to finish is success for me. And as long as we are operating with integrity in all of that, then I'm happy. And I know we're on the right track.
So did you see yourself as an entrepreneur? Did that ever come to your mind before? Or did this just happen to just spring up because of that, having the conversation with your girlfriend?
Well, I guess I did see it. My mom was in town this weekend, and I was joking with her about one of my first businesses, which was a greeting card business that I decided to start in, I think, 7th grade. And I'd use all of the printer ink. And this was back when, ink was hundreds and hundreds of dollars to print these cards. But I had this spirit of what can I sell? What can I do? What can I create? But I never actually thought I never thought I'd have the bravery, honestly, to take the leap and become an entrepreneur. I think I always thought that I'd have these side projects. And quite frankly, even when I started with this business, I truly thought it was going to be just this side project. And quickly, I realized, no, this is what I'm called to do and what I'm supposed to do. So I didn't see it, but now that I'm in it, looking back, of course, hindsight is 20/20. Looking back, I'm like, oh, this was where I was supposed to be. And probably where I will continue to be. And that's exciting.
So how did you come up with the name for your business?
Sure. It came within 15 minutes of having the idea, which I know I am incredibly fortunate to have that happen because I've had many friends labor over choosing a name. But it really is this idea of marrying social good with incredible design. And what I saw missing in the marketplace was that there were products giving back, but they weren't well designed. And because of that, people were either buying out of guilt or they weren't buying at all. So my mission was to bring these well designed products that give back to the forefront. And so that embodies the name. Haute being French for chic or high end, and then hope being really the foundation of, for me, everything. If we're not inspiring hope, if we're not living with hope, then what are we doing? It's the kind of the root of all things. And so knowing that each of these gifts does that, it inspires hope, it creates hope, it is hope, and then doing it really well and doing it in a way that's elevated and high end, that is the name. And that is what we're trying to do.
So, what is one valuable lesson, Jess, you wish you knew before starting your business?
Oh, I wish I had known that I didn't have to do it all. I think that would have been imperative. I'm naturally somebody who struggles with asking for help. I will sit and figure things out. I, built my own website. I took all of my own photos in the beginning. I reached out to every vendor. I did my accounting, all of these different things. And looking back, I wish I'd known that I could have moved so much faster and even, I think, more smoothly if I had been able to delegate faster and more efficiently. Take the help. Take the help.
Absolutely. So, what is one daily or weekly habit that you do consistently that has given you the greatest success?
This year, especially, I started working with a goal coach, and it's just 15 minutes every Monday. But having somebody who isn't going to let you get caught in your roadblocks is probably one of the best investments I've made, both professionally and personally. So every Monday I get on this call, I have 15 minutes to articulate what I'm trying to accomplish this week. And that same 15 minutes, I have to work through anything that would potentially hold me back. And I found that it shifted me into a place of possibility versus a place of, I guess, feeling defeated right at the beginning of the week. Like all of a sudden, everything seems possible and doable, and it's simplified. And I think many entrepreneurs, we have so many things going on and we're wearing so many different hats that it's easy to allow ourselves to get bogged down in tiny, minute tasks and even really small roadblocks. So to have somebody there who is just helping me to quickly work through those, it's a game changer.
So, how did you find your coach? We hear a great deal about entrepreneurs saying that you should have a coach or a mentor. Do you have any pointers for our audience in reference to if they're saying, wow, I really want a coach? And I was listening to a gentleman today. We're having a conversation, and it's just so much information out on the internet, and some of it is good and some of it is not so good. Mm-hmm. So deciphering what is the best road for a person to take, what would you suggest for someone looking for a coach?
I think one of my greatest edges in business is the ability to connect with people and to bring people together. So in that, I've been in some incredible mastermind groups, and recently in a women's group that's really powerful. And so in the beginning, I was offered to speak to the fact that there's great information out there, great opportunities, but also not so great information and not great opportunities. Is when I first started, I was invited into a lot of different groups, and I would sit in these different groups and they were lamenting about what was happening in their businesses and getting a little bit of feedback, but there was no real momentum, if you will. So everybody's kind of just throwing all of their crap into a pot and nobody really knows what to do with it. And I decided, I was like, I'm not joining another women's group. I'm not going to another lecture. Instead, I'm going to wait and find a group of people who have incredible momentum and focus and drive. And so that's what I found. And my coach ended up coming out of this. So I have, I think, probably one of the most phenomenal groups of women, and a really diverse group as well, which I think is also something that we have to consider because it gives us so many different perspectives. But a really diverse group of women that all have incredible insight. They're wise and they are moving quickly and moving with purpose. And out of that, one of the girls happens to be pursuing goal coaching just on the side. She's a director of marketing and wanted to add this skill to her repertoire. And when I found her, I was like, this is something I'm going to see. I'm just going to test it, right? And I really encourage people to experiment, be curious, test, see what the ROI is. So take that 6 weeks and then really take a moment to reflect and see, did that time serve me well? And when I looked back at last year, I'd been in the group for about 6 months. When I looked back at last year and what my best investments were, it was this group and in particular, working with this goal coach. And those were the things that really moved the needle for me. So I would say to be really, really picky and to not just take people for their word. Oh, I'm a goal coach. I'm trying this. I want to do this. What certifications do you have? How do you plan on structuring this? What types of questions is this person even asking you before you're getting into it? I can't think of the exact quote. I'm terrible at this, but the sum of the 5 people who are closest to us, right? Is that what it is? And it's really imperative that I think, especially for entrepreneurs, that the 5 people around us not only understand what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, even if they aren't entrepreneurs, have a similar mindset and are willing to really help you and aid you to get there. I think I'm in an incredible situation in this aspect of my life and business.
So what would you say, Jess, what's working well for you now in business?
Believe it or not, letting go. So it's really neat how this happens. When I first started, I held on really tightly to everything. And again, like I was saying, I tried to do it all. And the moment I started to say, wait, this photographer can take all of these photos 10 times better than I can, 10 times faster than I can. I'm going to give that to her. Or this graphic designer can run through Photoshop significantly faster than I can. I don't have to have the stress of figuring out how to make this flyer or whatever it might be. Or this intern is so eager to learn. I'm going to let her do that. Or this woman doing accounting. So now I feel like I've done a much better job of delegating and knowing and acknowledging my weaknesses and saying look, just because I can do something doesn't mean I have to do something. And I'm beginning to hold it a lot more loosely. So that's going really well. And then also just trusting my own instincts, which it takes time, but really trusting my instincts on design, on what I think will work, on content for our blog, on our, social media presence, all of those things. I trust myself a lot more. And I think part of that comes with having the right people to delegate to.
The quote was Jim Rohn, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So good.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And there's a podcaster that always quotes that. I think it's Pat Flynn or Entrepreneur on Fire. One of them, I'm probably messing it up. I know it's one of the two. And they constantly, would quote that, and you think about it, and it's absolutely true.
It's so true. I mean, I think about right now, and my husband and I talk about this all the time, just the women and people in my corner are so for me, but also so smart. And I feel like I'm, just trying to keep up. And there's something really incredible about that and something really powerful about that versus if the 5 people in your corner are taking from you constantly. And I think we just have to be really aware of how that can happen and just put ourselves in places where we can flourish, around people who want to see us flourish.
Right. And that's a really good place to be in. And you are very fortunate, Jess, to be surrounded by a level of influence that you guys are giving back to one another. And so it sounds like it's a win-win for all parties involved.
It definitely is.
So Jess, talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger Jess?
Oh, I love talking to 22-year-old Jess because she had no idea she would be here. And I laugh about it all the time. I would tell younger Jess to take the risks, start the business ideas you had. Even if they don't work, it's okay to fail, but do it and start it early. I do wish I had pumped that entrepreneurial muscle sooner and just put myself out there, learned to try things, learn to execute, learn to fail, and then come back and do it again and again and again. Because what I see a lot now is the businesses that are doing really, really well, and that's all relative, but the startups that are around me that are moving really well and doing really well, this isn't their first business. It's usually their third business. And just to have some of these early lessons under your belt, it makes such a big difference when you are on your third business. You're able to say, okay, this goes to this goes to that. I know how to set up my LLC, all of those things. So I would have told her to just, even if it wasn't a big deal, just stretch those muscles and start to use those entrepreneurial muscles earlier.
Absolutely. So, who are your top two influencers in your life, and what lessons did they teach you?
Oh, that's a great question. Right off the top of my head, I would say both my mom and dad. And my mom, because she understands the importance of connecting people and being somebody who is constantly connecting people, but at the same time, she's somebody who works extraordinarily hard. And so, just from work ethic and people skills, certainly my mom is a huge influence. And then on the other side is my dad. And for me, with him, it's him saying very early on and teaching us and raising us girls, there's two of us, to always be givers and not takers. And so he would tell us, girls, the world has enough people taking from it. Be somebody who gives back to it. And so in my business, in every even connection I make, anything like that, I'm always considering how can I give to this person instead of take. And I found that coming with that mentality and coming with an attitude of connecting other people and working really hard is a really phenomenal concoction for success.
So, you talked about family, Jess, your husband, your mom and dad being your influencers. How do you blend, balance, whatever word you want to put in there, your personal life, your family life with your business?
Well, I make my husband pack boxes sometimes, so that'll do it. That'll do it. I have also learned how to, I think, turn things off. I think that is another huge lesson is leaving, and when you work from home, I think it's really especially difficult because you can take the office with you through the night. I mean, I have to, really make sure that I don't check my email in the morning while I'm lying in bed and at night and so on and so forth. But what I try to do to include them in the business process. My mom is probably my biggest business development. She is out there. She's telling people, she'll call me. I'm always doing business development for you. I'm like, okay, thanks, mom. She's like, where's my commission check or whatever? But keeping them in the loop just about the process, about our successes, even about some of our struggles. And then, like I said, with my husband, he's on the ground floor with me. So anything I need, anything he can help with, shipments, etc., he's in it. So they've got their respective parts.
So, what has been to date, Jess, the biggest achievement so far with your business?
I think it's being profitable and increasing our profit, but that seems so obvious. I suppose it would be the fact that we're still going because it is really easy to burn out. It's really easy to get frustrated. It's really easy to give up. And I'm really proud of the fact that I'm still going and that I still believe in my product and that it has affected so many people.
So, what would, if there's anything that would make you stop doing the business?
Oh, I don't know. I guess this goes back to being an entrepreneur. It would be, I guess the only thing that would do it is if I truly felt as if it was time to close it up, which I think that's okay. And a lot of people are afraid to end something or to quit something. But I think if the time ever came where I was like, you know what, this is no longer serving people. It's no longer serving me. Let's close this up and let's move on to the next, hopefully the next idea or the next endeavor. That's when I would do it. But I wouldn't quit. And I would just want to really feel at peace about finishing it. And, just kind of that feeling like, you know what, this is finished and that's okay.
So, what milestones do you want to accomplish for yourself and your business over the next couple of years?
The big goal for us is to have a studio space of our own where we are employing women who have come out of less than desirable situations, and we're coming alongside of them to advocate for them and to provide different classes and life skills and working with other nonprofits to help them get on their feet and improve their lives, and doing that through dignified work and advocacy. And that is a major, major goal of mine. I want the women to be the ones putting together the boxes, putting together the hope, sending out the hope, but then also receiving just that one-on-one, side-by-side support that I think it takes to really turn your life around.
That's really nice. So, what is a technology tool or a technology platform, Jess, that is a must have for you in managing your business day to day?
Oh, you're calling on the geek in me, Francis. I love this. I am an Evernote junkie. I love Evernote. I think it is such a brilliant platform, and I think it's just efficient. So I use it when I'm taking notes in meetings. I use it when an idea pops into my head. I will do my list making in it. I will sometimes even just flush out blog posts, and there's just too much. The sky's the limit with that thing. So I love Evernote. And then I'm just going to give a little bonus too. I really love Outlook. I don't know if you use Outlook, but I find that it's just an incredible tool. And I think it's really, really user friendly, pliable. It's awesome. So those are my two big ones.
Right. And absolutely. Daily, I use Outlook. I had jumped into Evernote and didn't spend a lot of time, but I've heard a lot of individuals talk about the benefits. So I may need to spend some time really getting to know Evernote.
It's a good one. Even the fact that I can get a business card, scan it on my phone, it'll go into my Evernote, and then I can give that person their card back so they can give it to somebody who, needs the physical version. Just those types of things I think are incredible. And to have everything in one place on all of my devices. Oh, so good.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about risk or failure. What is the worst moment in business, and what was the takeaway?
My worst moment in business, I would say very early on, this was more on the fulfillment logistics side, which was probably the scariest side for me going into this type of business. And I had my first client, which was huge. And it was one of those situations where they asked me, could I do this massive number of gift boxes for a very large price? And I was like, of course I can. Sure. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's fine. And so I was ordering all of the product for these gift boxes. Again, my first time doing it. And then I ordered the boxes, the physical boxes that they come in, wooden boxes, and had a moment of severe panic when I realized the product I ordered may be too big for the boxes that I ordered. And what do you do? Because these boxes were custom made. And it was the exact moment that I needed to be reminded that the details really matter and to slow down, to create some sort of checks and balances system to measure, to do those types of things first before I swipe a card on anything. And even before I sign off on a contract with anyone.
Very good. So what can we do to ignite the fire within our community to inspire more folks to become entrepreneurs?
Oh, I love this. I think that so much of this is what you're doing, Frances. It's exposure. My sister and I were having a conversation today about, we really had incredible parents. They never said that there was anything we couldn't do, ever. There were no limits. It was like, if you want to, except for sing. My mom said I couldn't sing. She's like, you can't, because I actually cannot sing. So, but other than that, the sky is the limit. Whatever you want to do, we believe you can do it. We can support you in it. And my sister was talking to her friend who was saying that her parents didn't say that to her. So until she saw a Black graphic designer, she did not know that Black women could be graphic designers. And my sister and I were saying, whoa, that is so crazy. I can't even fathom what it would be like to not think from a place of possibility, right? So I believe wholeheartedly that exposure is key. Telling these stories, seeing ourselves across the board in all of these different areas, it's so important. And it's important on top of that to require, I think, excellence from each other and to really build and edify one another. And that may come with some correction, that may come with some hard conversations, but I think it's worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. And thank you for that compliment. That was very kind of you.
This is a big deal. I mean, this is a really big deal. People need to know. And I think listening to your podcast, they're going to be blown away at how many Black men and women are out there really really creating change and really pushing the envelope on the face of entrepreneurship. And that, to me, that's really exciting.
Absolutely. So tell our audience, Jess, what book would you recommend and why?
Oh, so there's a book called Essentialism, and it's by Greg McCowan. And it's a book about how to really narrow down what the important things are for you in life. And so that is huge. Again, going back to being an entrepreneur and having all of these different hats you wear, being a human being, quite frankly, and having all of the different hats you wear. If you can learn to say no so that you can say yes to the right things, you can really take off. I mean, literally you're unstoppable because now your focus, your attention, your passion is all channeled and funneled into effective places. And so it asks questions like, what are your best routines? What can you say no to now so that you can say yes later? So all of those types of questions that I think are incredibly important in an age where we are constantly inundated with information, with asks and requests. And we have to know how to filter through the noise.
Oh, that is so profound. Say no so you can be able to say yes to the right thing.
Absolutely.
And is that a quote out of his book?
There's a version of it. There's definitely a version of the quote. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but that is like the theme throughout the entire book. And I can even find it for you.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I will definitely look that up. So, Jess, tell us, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you wish I would have asked you? And I want you to ask the question and also answer it.
I would say I would want you to ask me a question pertaining to how do we begin to change and infiltrate as Black people, Black entrepreneurs, this entrepreneurial landscape as far as like, how do we begin to show up and show even more than just our community, but show the world that we are capable and ready and we are playing on the same field? Something to that effect. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we're going to let you answer that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My answer to that would be, it goes back to exposure, but it also I would challenge us to step out of our comfort zone. I think it's super easy, very easy for all of us, no matter what race we are, to stick with people who look like us. I think it's imperative that as Black people, we begin to step into different circles with our chins up and our heads held high, with confidence in what we're doing and with a sense of purpose and belonging, even when it feels like maybe we don't. Because just our presence there is enough to change and shift the way society views all of us and the way really we view ourselves. But it starts with a couple of bold ones who are willing to say, I'm going to step into a circle where people maybe don't look like me, maybe they don't act like me, maybe they aren't from the same place that I am, but I'm going to tell my story, I'm going to talk about my business, and I'm going to do it proudly and effectively and unapologetic.
Very good. I like that. Absolutely. So share with our audience a parting piece of advice you want to offer.
I would say, it sounds so cliche, but don't be afraid. You really can't lose. You can't lose. In this game, in this entrepreneurial game, you cannot lose. Take the risks, try it, do the things, even when someone's like, I don't know if that makes sense. Trust your instincts, take the risks, don't be afraid.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we've come to the part of our podcast where we call it the Fun Fact Lightning Round. And Jess, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I would like you to give very quick answers. If it's something that you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready.
So Jess, what's the last movie you saw?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
And you relax doing what?
Reading.
And your favorite singer or rapper?
Right now is Emily King.
And your favorite dance song?
Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Oh, gosh. Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It. Oh, gosh.
And what food you eat every week, no matter what?
A sweet potato.
And your favorite month?
It's my birthday month. It's November. I like November. Yeah, I do.
Absolutely. So that's a wrap for us. And in closing, Jess, we just want to thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience. Can you tell our audience what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Sure. So you can find us on Instagram at Haute, Haute, Hope, Hope, gives, or you can visit our website at haute-hope.com.
Thank you so much. That is a wrap for us, and we are so deeply honored that you would join us. If there's anything that we can do to support your business, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic.
Take care.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.